Daniel 11, verse 20. It says, Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom. But within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. So right before the first advent, before Jesus came the first time, there was a raising of taxes, a great taxation. So that tells you every time a new politician gets into office, we're right on the cusp of it because they all want to raise the taxes. But it's going to be the same thing for the second advent. He says, in our verse, the end of the verse there, he says, but within few days he shall be destroyed. That's 20. Did I give you the right verse? Yes. I see it now. My notes got moved too fast. In few days he shall be destroyed. So he here is going to be killed, but not in anger or in battle. The anger that they're referring to here is choler. It's the word that's been used in verse 11, and that's referring to a battle anger. There's a momentum that goes on in battle, and just the force of the spirit of battle, I'm calling it that, where it's just, you find the same thing in a mob. There's something that's taking over and driving people, and it's just this an unseen machine that's mowing people down. And that's what they're talking about here. It's not going to be part of that. Something else is going to get him. Daniel 11, verse 21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. Okay, so this raiser of taxes dies, and a vile person is going to take his spot, his place. This vile person is not the status quo. He's not what the world leaders want. He's taking it, but he's getting it through a tricky means by flatteries. If he had to do it on his own, he wouldn't have qualified because nobody else likes him. They see him for what he is, a vile person. That's the same is true today about the devil. Nobody falls for the devil because they're tricked. They fall for him because they think they can use him. And he's given them the flattering lines that they want to hear to make them think he'll be able to be used, and he's not. When he comes, the Antichrist has two manifestations. The first one is the man of sin, and the second one is the son of perdition. Now, I'm going to say something here a little different than I was taught. Dr. Ruckman teaches these are two separate people, or two separate entities. I teach they are the same. And I'll show it to you. 2 Thessalonians 2. Second Thessalonians 2, verse 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, one entity, comma, the son of perdition, the second entity. I make both of those the same person. I say the son of perdition is a further description of the man of sin. The beast comes on the scene, and the man of sin, they probably hold different motives for the office, no doubt. When the Antichrist comes in, it's death and war and killing and murder, because that's who he is. And at the first, when he's doing flatteries and trying to gain the kingdom and the power and unite under his banner, he's probably being a politician. That doesn't mean everything's going smooth, so you have people that tell you the first half of the tribulation is smooth. And I don't think it's smooth. That's why he's got to work so hard at fooling people, trying to trick them and come up with a peace plan for them. The son of perdition, of course, and the Antichrist, the devil is going to inhabit the son of perdition's body, I believe, and I think that's Judas Iscariot. He comes up from the grave. The reason for this, I take, is this: the devil has tried and tried to win and make himself God. One of the things that Jesus did was he came to earth and took on a body. He took on flesh. Well, that's what the devil wants to do. I'll come to earth too, only he comes up out from it and takes on a body. The body is Judas Iscariot, I think. The other thing is this: everything that Jesus Christ does, just about, you're going to find a counterpart in the devil or in the Antichrist, that he's trying to prove he's just as good or better. You know, that's what his goal was in Isaiah 14. I'll be like the Most High. And God says, you want to bet? Here, John 17. That's John 17, verse 12. He says, Jesus speaking here, is praying. He says, while I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Those that thou gavest me I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scriptures might be fulfilled. So the son of perdition that shows up in Revelation, that shows up at the time of the Antichrist, is this same son of perdition. Not many sons of perdition, one, a specific one. And it's Judas Iscariot. He's talking about the 12 there, and he said, I didn't lose any of them but one, and one is the son of perdition. Acts 1, verse 25. He's the son of perdition, but more than the son of perdition, he's almost demonic from origin. He says that he might take part in this ministry and apostleship, from which Judas by transgression fell, that he might go to his own place. That is, he didn't go to hell; he went to his own place. He's got he's moved in, and he's got his name over the door, and that's his own place. Well, usually when you are going to your own place, it's someplace you've already been. If I'm going to go back to my house, that indicates that it was already mine before I left it to begin with. So the inference here is that he came up from that pit, inhabited a body on earth as Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, died and went back to his own place where he came from. Revelation 9:11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. And he is Abaddon. But in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Okay, so there's something down there besides just demons and devils. This creature right here is a named creature, like we find in the book of Daniel, Michael and the Prince of Persia. And when you start having named principalities and powers, it's more than just the local public that has reached their destination. Revelation 13:2. Revelation 13:2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leper, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now, how in the world does the devil give somebody authority? Well, obviously, he's got a bunch of deluded souls who have submitted themselves to him. Therefore, he has the authority because they've given it up. And they've said, I don't want to, you take care of me. And he's going to take care of them, all right. Look at verse 4. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him. That is, he's a warrior. God is called a man of war. So they recognize the devil as the same. Every depiction of the devil that you'll find in cartoons or in drawings or whatever depicts him as a beast that's a warfare beast, something that's not sweet and nice. You don't picture him as Joel Osteen. He's not a sweet, granddad. They picture him as he is, a devouring lion and a beast, an animal. He's a warrior. Now, he says there, and in his, back to our verse, Daniel 11, verse 21, I believe is where we are. And in his estate, verse 20. Verse 20. But he shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom. And he says here it's a vile person. You'll find something in the Bible. Villainy is used a little differently than we use it. This vile in the Bible has a specific meaning. It means more than just very bad. It means a satanic influenced, and it comes out in sexual deviance. And that's how the Bible uses it. Look at Judges 19. Judges 19. This is one of the hardest chapters in the Bible to read. Judges 19, verse 24. This one in Genesis 19. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and she and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing. It's connected here to sodomy. Now, obviously, these were women, so there was more involved than just sodomy. But it was a sexual deviance that had gone to the extreme of they were insisting they could break all of God's rules. And that's what it comes down to. The devil thinks that he's the rule maker, and he even tries to change times and seasons. Why? Because God made that. Well, if God made it, we'll break it. And you see all of the world is heading that direction now. Romans 1, verse 26. Romans 1 is the chapter on the degradation of man, how God turns him over to more and more wickedness in an effort to make him wake up. Romans 1:26. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. This whole chapter is about sexual deviance, vile affection. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. So there's something about the Antichrist that is more than just a sexual deviant. It's a supernatural deviance. It's satanic and has a spirit behind it. You can see that Paul says the Spirit's already at work in our age, and we can see it. It's just taking over every show you watch. Every school is trying to push it. Now, I just saw where Oklahoma just approved that they can teach Bible in the schools now. That's a good thing. Daniel 11, verse 37. Daniel 11:37, here's this vile person. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any good, for he shall magnify himself above all. Okay, that's a God-given desire, is for a man to want a woman, not another man. Okay, that's just clear from Scripture and clear from nature. He says right here, the Antichrist is not going to be that way. He's going to have no use for a woman. And he's not going to have any use for man either. I think that he's so demonic in being that he just wants everything destroyed. And that's how he gets his kicks, is in destroying things. You find this with people who are arsonists. They love to set fires. That's their pleasure in life. Their pleasure is not reproducing. It's not, having a family. Their pleasure is in destruction. That's of the devil. Luke 17. Luke 17, verse 28. So before the second advent, it's going to be similar to the way it was before the first advent. And the same mess has always gone on. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same wickedness from the beginning to the end. Sometimes it gets turned on high in certain areas and at certain times. But it's the same wickedness. Luke 17:28. Likewise also, as it was in the days of Lot. Okay, what was the days of Lot? Villainy, vile affections. That's sodomy. They did eat, they did drink, they bought, they sold, they planted, and they builded. What a list to put together. He says, I'm talking about, it was horrible, just like Sodom and Gomorrah and sodomy and all that wicked stuff. I'm talking about buying and selling and eating. See what that is? It's the list of people who follow only the desires of the flesh. The flesh has a mind of its own and it'll take over. If you give in to the flesh and continue to give in to the flesh, he's going to go somewhere. Sodomy. Lot. Verse 29. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. It's going to be just like that again. And we say, I think we're there. Now, we got to get out first. But you can see how it's ripe for that right now. He says back in our verse 11, verse 21. He says, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom. As though there's anything honorable about the kingdom at this point. But what that means is they're not going to promote him in a normal fashion. Like we do these votes, and we've got the big thing right now where people are mad about, do we have a republic or a democracy? You don't want a democracy. But either way, whatever you have, it's done in some sort of a fashion that it's approved by the public. The people say, we support this person. Even a king cannot rule nowadays, now in the old days it was different, without the support of the people. If the people don't support, there's more people than there is a one singular king. They can come in and take him out. And so that's always been the public office has to have the support of the public. He's saying right here, this guy comes to office and he doesn't have the support of the normal channels of doing things. Job 17. Job 17, verse 5. He's got to take office by tricky means. So he's just 100% politician. That's what they do nowadays. Because they don't mean anything they're saying. Usually you can just about write it down on a piece of paper what they're saying they're going to do. They're going to do just the opposite. Or they're going to put some bill through that when they're out of the office and you can't see them, it comes into effect. Job 17, verse 5. He that speaketh flattery to his friends, even the eyes of his children shall fail. There's something here connected to the eyes. The Bible says the light of the body is the eye. That is, who you are shows up in your eyeballs. And that's a fact. You can tell it when you talk to somebody, you look in their eyes. You can read people from their eyes. You can tell when they're talking to you if their eyes are saying it or if their eyes are saying something else. Here he says these flatterers, it comes out in the eyes of their children. Dead eyes. Now, I know that this can be used figuratively, but it's also used literally. Look at Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28, verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. Okay, God's whipping his people. Neither shalt the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. That is, he is going to begin to reverse the protection he had put on them and promised them. Remember, he says, if you'll do right, you won't get any of these curses the Egyptians have. But if you do wrong, I'll give you all of them. And that's what he's going to do. We got Lamentations 4. Lamentations 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain hope. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. He says right here, our eyes failed for hope of something that never materialized. We were hoping for help. And when it didn't come, our eyes, it showed up in our eyes. That's true. Sadness shows up in your eyes. It's hard to hide that. If you're sad, you may be able to mask a fake smile, but usually that can be identified quickly. Not by the smile, by the eyes. Look at Zechariah 11. Zechariah 11. For the Antichrist, this is a real deal. It's literal all the way. Zechariah 11:17. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. You'll be able to look at him and identify it. Something about that guy. And God says, I've fixed it. I've fixed the thing up so that it's a specific eye. It's his right eye. I think there he says the light of the body is the eye. So what's in you comes out your eye. You know what's coming out of this guy's eye? Darkness. Because he's the prince of darkness. In Revelation we find him. Revelation 6 verse 2. Revelation 6:2. And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. No doubt about it, he might come in seeming like he's peaceful and seeming like that he's going to be making peace treaties with everybody and giving them exactly what they want. But the fact of the matter is he's got a bow and arrow. Well, he doesn't have any arrows in this. He's got a bow. You know what that tells me? He knows where the arrows are. If I'm going to carry a gun into a fight, I'm only going to carry the gun if I know where I can get some ammunition. If I just had the gun, all I've got is a club. If he's just got a bow and doesn't have any arrows, he's of no use, but obviously he knows where the arrows are. Look at it in Jeremiah 4. Jeremiah 4, verse 10. Jeremiah 4:10. Well, can she get out? Yes, she can. Then said I, Ah, Lord God, surely thou hast greatly deceived this people and Jerusalem, saying, Ye shall have peace, whereas the sword reacheth unto the soul. Ooh. Now, that's what the Antichrist does. He promises peace. But you know what's going to happen? A sword right to the soul. And that's what we're finding. Jeremiah 4, look at verse 8. For this gird you with sackcloth, lament and howl, for the fierce anger of the Lord is not turned back from us. There's a day that's going to be 100% literal, more literal than it's ever been. The time of the anger, his fierce anger, comes to bear on this earth, and they'll be wishing for a reprieve. Look at verse 14. Jeremiah 4:14. O Jerusalem, wash thine heart from wickedness, that thou mayest be saved. How long shall thy vain thought lodge within thee? You find this in the tribulation. The devil has proved himself to be wicked, a hater and destroyer of people, nations, and everything they held to be cherished. And yet the people still hold loyalty to him. As they're being cursed and know that it's God cursing them from heaven, they turn and shake their fist in his face and curse him. That's a satanic delusion. Jeremiah 4, verse 23. Jeremiah 4, verse 23. I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, and the heavens, they had no light. Sound like anything you've read before? That's right. Genesis 1. Now, that's happened in the past. That's dealing directly with the devil. The devil's going to be back to earth, and guess what? It's going to replay, because they're going to have a sequel to the first boxing match. And this is it. And he's going to do the same thing and give him a KO and say, you go rest up for 1,000 years and we'll do this again. Ezekiel 13. Ezekiel 13:10. When somebody says something positive and happy to you, it's tempting to believe it and put your hope in that. But consider the other side of it too. And then balance it out. Because this is one way the devil deceives, is with telling you what he knows you want to hear. Ezekiel 13:10. Because they have seduced my people, saying, peace, and there was no peace. And one built up a wall, and lo, others daubed it with untempered mortar. That is, they're saying something that's obviously wrong. People could look around and see there's no peace. The walls are falling apart. What they're putting on it is a Band-Aid. Okay, they've self-deceived because they wanted to. That's what they wanted to believe in. This is a great danger in America, is that we think that, and I don't want to be misunderstood here, Trump is a good man. However, he ain't God. And if Christians get lazy and put their trust in Trump rather than God, God will make it come to bear. Amen. Just like is going on here. They're saying peace, peace. Looks like, our leaders are claiming peace. Let's just trust them. No, you better trust God. There is no peace outside of him. 1 Thessalonians 5. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. Paul says, you've passed that class. I wish he would have written some more on it. Because we ain't passed it. But he says, you understand that perfectly well. Verse 2. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. That's what the devil does. He comes to earth and he claims Peace, peace. He signs a peace treaty with them. We didn't get that far, but we're going to get into the covenant, how he breaks it. And the peace was the propaganda he used. Peace, peace. You know what ends, the end of the phrase of peace, peace is? Sudden destruction, and they shall not escape. That doesn't sound like peace, peace to me. Okay, on that happy note, we'll pick up next week at Daniel 11:22.